She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies
Give me every little detail.
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
Good morning, good life. Welcome back to Detail Therapy. In this episode, we'll be getting into the details about how to crush your New Year's resolutions. And don't worry if you don't know what they are yet. I'm going to help you out with that as well. And I've got a little bonus for how to prepare yourself with other people so you can make sure you stick to your resolutions in social environments. If you're new here, hello. My name is Amy Landino and I will be your host. I'm a success coach and founder at Gatlu House, a resource dedicated to helping you go after the life you want. You can see all of our details by checking out detailtherapy.online in your browser. Over there, you can see our show notes, videos we make, newsletter we put together every single Friday, and so much more. I am amped. Can you tell? Super amped because this is the last episode of the year and the 100th episode of Detail Therapy. This is so major. I have had a few podcasts in my day, but the only one that we got to over 100 episodes of was Vlogboss Radio. Shout out to you if you were a Vlogboss Radio listener. The last time we podcasted over there was to tell you that it was shut down and to come over to Detail Therapy. So it's been a long time. But anyway, I just love the audio experience so much. It's why I've experimented with it so much. A lot of people don't really realize that about me too, except for people like you, because I make a lot of videos on the internet and it's what people know about me. But this is where we get to have the real fun, man. You know, it's like, this is where we really jam together and I love it. And there is only so much more to come from Detail Therapy. I do want to say that as we close out the year, one of the things I'm reflecting on, I ask myself a lot of questions, do a lot of planning going into the next year just to see how far did we come? What did we have to pivot on? What do we need to continue to grow in? And just this podcast has clearly taken a turn. It is not the podcast that it was when I launched it, which happens all the time. And I welcome that journey every time. So I just am so pleased that it seems as though you're still enjoying the content quite a bit, where I had envisioned sitting down with people IRL a lot more often to be able to bring you the details. I think we're still able to do it in a lot of powerful ways. And I'm just trying to make it the best possible experience for you. So please know that you can always share with me your thoughts on this, what you love about this show, what isn't going as great with this show that you would prefer not to see come back. Anytime you want to share those ideas with me, please go over to iTunes and leave a review. I like to see your true and honest review because it tells me if we're on the right track or not and if I need to make changes. But it seems as though, even though we've pivoted kind of hard, just doing a lot of really intimate chats here, more than interviews lately, that you're still enjoying it. And that means a lot to me. But still, I want to hear that feedback. So what would you like to see here? What do you want to see on Detail Therapy in 2021? What direction do you want to go in? I mean, I do this show for you. I want to make sure that this is the best use of your time when you pop your earbuds in. So please keep that in mind. This is not a celebration for me. This is a celebration for you, that you and I have been chugging along and bringing the heat together for 100 episodes. And I appreciate you so much. I acknowledge the time and attention it takes to tune in, and for you to support this show means the world. So on that note, it's the beginning of a new year. Listen, I get it. It's getting less and less socially acceptable to talk about resolutions, right? It's a lot easier to squash someone's resolutions or tell them why it's not going to work out and they should just try to set regular goals that don't have anything to do with the arbitrary date on the calendar. Listen, I get it. For some people, this is not going to work for them. If you do not look at milestone moments the same way as someone else, that's fine. No big deal. I happen to believe people are pretty fed up with 2020 and would like to plan for a better future. But think about where we were last year. We had huge plans for 2020, and man makes plans and you know the rest, right? Things changed and we had to pivot and we had to deal. And some of us had a harder time than others because of losing people in our lives or being stuck at home and not being able to talk to anyone because we live alone and we feel lonely, or anything that you can think of that made this year harder. Did you lose your job? Did you lose some clients? Making less money is certainly a problem, but having worse health is a huge problem. So 2020 has definitely dealt us quite the hand. My belief, no matter when you decide to do it, resolutions on the new year, or if you want to do it July 17th, I don't care. My vision is that when you know a change needs to be made, and when you recognize that only you have the power to make that change, you got to do it. And I just want to be able to give you the tools to make that happen whenever it's right for you. So that's the purpose of this episode. And yes, I'm going to put it in the context of New Year's resolutions because I know we're thinking about them, even if on the outside we are poo-pooing the New Year's resolution. Okay, so let's start first. I want to break this down because I feel like the word resolution has been dragged through the mud for so long now. What is a New Year's resolution? Okay, first it's a tradition, and you can thank Wikipedia for this excellent explanation. This is a tradition in which a person resolves to continue good practices, change an undesired trait or behavior, to accomplish a personal goal, or otherwise improve their life. So what does that mean? Let's break it down. In order to have a resolution, we're going to need, number one, a personal goal. Number two, an actionable step or a habit that will help you achieve that goal. And number three, a plan to make that step or habit build happen. Okay, so there's a few steps here. We can start to not be able to distinguish so well the difference between a goal and a resolution, right? Here's what it is. A goal is something that you are working toward. A resolution is something that helps you get closer to it. So we've got to think about, if we're going to sit here and talk about how you're going to crush your resolutions, the only way to crush them is to see the vision. And the vision means to look at your goals. What are your goals? Or more importantly, your goal. You do not need to have more than one. That is fine. If you want it to be exponentially more likely you'll achieve it, focus on the one. That is okay. What is your goal that you want to set for this year? Now, anytime we talk about goals, we've got to make sure that they are achievable. And in order to do that, they've got to have a few characteristics, one of them being achievable or attainable, right? But this is where we break it down into SMART. How do we make a SMART goal? I know that this is a formula you have heard in the past, but it is not just because it works. It is so you can visualize what it looks like on paper. And remember, everything that we want to happen, we've got to get it out of our mind and down in front of us so we can look at it and understand what it actually takes to make that happen. So to have a SMART goal, it needs to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. If you don't have these 5 characteristics in your goal, it's really a loose vision more than it is a goal. And it's going to be difficult for you to stick with things like resolutions to bring that goal to fruition because it is so loose and not exactly precise and easy to just say you kind of got there or you kind of didn't, right? We don't want the kind of conversation. We want black and white. Did you do it or did you not? Because even if you didn't, let's say you had a revenue goal of $1 million this year. If you reach for $1 million, you think you're going to get a little bit further along if that's the vision than if it was like, I just want to make a lot more money this year. Well, a lot more money could be $10,000. But $10,000 more than last year, did that get you closer to $1 million? Maybe not. So we often find that when we shoot high, or at least shoot specifically, that we're exponentially going to leaps and bounds do better than we would have if it was very arbitrary. Okay. So yes, we understand a SMART goal. We can break that down. But let's start to discover it based on how you're actually feeling, not what we could Google, like, what's a SMART revenue goal? What's a SMART weight goal? What's a SMART life goal? No, let's start asking ourselves some questions, because remember, this has to be custom to you. So first, let's get real dark, okay? Because I believe that when you think about the worst case scenario more often, you're much more appreciative and grateful for everything else going on, okay? So if you left life right now, if it was over, would you be happy with what you've accomplished? What have you been meaning to get to that you haven't, that is very important to you? Are you currently emulating the person you want to be? What is something causing you pain that keeps you from living a fully expressed life? These aren't the end all be all of questions, but these start to trigger some real conversations with yourself, right? Can you imagine if the bus hit you, pedestrian? That thing happens, okay? That's a terrible occurrence. But it hit you and you're gone, and that's it. Are you happy with what you've done? Are you okay with what you've left the people that you love? Is there more to your story, to your legacy? It's a difficult conversation to have, but the more we think in that frame, the less we're afraid of death, and more we are ambitious to what we want to take advantage of with the time we still have. So ask yourself these questions, maybe some other ones that come to mind for you personally as you start to unpack this. Because again, we're not coming up with an arbitrary goal here. We're coming up with the one that's right for you. So let's say you think about what a SMART goal is and you answer those questions for yourself and you think, I'm too tired and I'm achy really often. I don't actively try to do the things I love because I just don't feel good about myself. Based on this information, you do a few other steps to come to a conclusion that your SMART goal would be to lose 10 pounds of body fat in the space of a year. Let's just say that's the goal. I'm just giving it as an example, okay? It's specific, it's measurable, it's absolutely attainable for most people, but that will have to be measured in your case. It's relevant based on how you feel and based on the fact that you don't feel like your best self. And this may be one of the reasons you deduced was the most tied to that. And it's time bound. You've got a year and that's it. Do you get it or do you not? Now you're working toward this goal. You see it. You can wrap your head around it. The number either is that or it is not that goal once you've hit it or you didn't, okay? You need now a plan of action, and this is where your resolutions are going to come into play. When resolutions are not arbitrary and actually apply to the move forward, things that are vitally important to you in your life get more possible, especially when it comes to sticking with your resolutions. So what would a good resolution be in this case? With the goal of losing 10 pounds of body fat, possible resolutions might look like, I resolve to stop eating after 8 p.m. I resolve to drink 64 ounces of water every day. I resolve to hire a trainer who can measure my progress and hold me accountable. I resolve to do 30 minutes of active movement 4 days a week. I resolve to weigh myself every day. Some people don't advise weighing yourself every day. It depends on your methodology. I'm just giving it as an example because it's also a way to make sure that you're paying attention if it goes too far one way or the other. Anyway, you got to take that up with your fitness professionals and your health professionals on if that's right for you. And also, I hope that you will take this into consideration as a very arbitrary example. If this is not the right advice in your life, it's because you need to consult a professional. I'm just using it as probably the easiest way for you to measure an actionable goal, okay? Now, When you have a resolution, one of those, let's just say I'm going to drink 64 ounces of water every day because I know that at least getting that hydration is going to help me flush out as much fat as I possibly can. When you have a resolution that's directly tied to your vision of a goal, you'll be slightly less likely to ask yourself why you're even bothering. Oh, I don't need another glass of water. Actually, you do. You haven't gotten to 64 yet. Do you see how easy that is? Do you still need a little bit of willpower there? Yes, but we can't rely completely on willpower, which is why we need these very specific calls to action and ways to track our accountability and our progress to get us closer every single day. All right, so now that you've got that little breakdown, figure out what that goal that would make you feel better about the legacy that you leave is. And then what are the correlated resolutions? Maybe you come up with a couple that support the goal that you want to start in 2021. So step number 1 for crushing your New Year's resolutions that support your goal next year. Focus on the most important goals to you. When you're going through that process of trying to figure out what that main goal is, or maybe you only have 2, look at the major categories of your life. You'll see these in the Good Morning Good Life Planner. We offer you a space to expand on them. There are 7 categories. You may only pick 1. You may only pick 2. You may have 1 for each category, but there's one big goal for the year. It's completely up to how you work. The 7 goals are health, mindset, career, relationships, wealth, spirituality, and legacy. So choose the goal that you feel you score the lowest on in your own life fulfillment, and then come up with the goal that needs to go in that bucket and the resolutions that support it, the ones that are the closest to your heart, that are most important to you. Next step, set those SMART goals for 2021. We've got 1 to 2 goals total in a couple of those categories. And then I want you to close your eyes and envision what life would be like once you've achieved those goals. You haven't even talked about your resolutions yet. You haven't even written any of that stuff down or planned it. Just look at the possibility of achieving those goals. Shut your eyes and imagine it happens. Does it actually feel like it's the right decision for who you want to be? Does just the daydream feel fulfilling enough? Is it going to be enough to drive you forward when times get tough? You've got to make sure you're clear on this before you dive in to planning those New Year's resolutions and sticking with them. Also, I hope you're not closing your eyes while you're driving. I should have prefaced that. Just so you know, don't close your eyes if you're driving. Number 3, if you've decided that these goals are on point, you know what they are, go back and work through some of those questions that we talked about earlier, and then do a little bit of research of what the professionals are telling you that you need to do in order to reach those goals. Remember when I was giving our arbitrary weight loss advice earlier? Go out and seek out the actual professional advice from your health professionals, from research, from anywhere that makes sense for you in the direction that you're going. Now, one thing I will say is, if you seek out any advice and you've heard it more than once, or you feel like it's always there, it's following you around, everybody always says it, it's probably great advice. Stop trying to find the shiny new piece of advice to get you closer to that goal. If everyone's saying it, there's a strong possibility it's powerful and it works if you actually do it. Drinking more water is one of the least luxurious tips of all time, but it could very well be a big factor for you. If the advice says it and everyone's saying, yes, this is a great idea, just check that box, please. Then listen to it, okay? We often ignore the advice we see all the time because we think that's not the trick. Everyone knows that. Okay, well, if everyone knows that, are you doing it? That's a different thing entirely. Now, based on all that research, come up with your list of possible tactics that are going to help you make good on those resolutions. If it's drinking more water, reading more books on subjects you care about, networking with more people, saving more money, having a personal morning routine, just write all these things down very arbitrarily, a list of good resolution starters, okay? Now, with those loose notes, I want you to circle the items that if you had to sign a contract holding you to it, you could keep up for a whole year. Maybe your goal doesn't make you actually do it for a year. It might depend on your timing and all that kind of stuff. That's very customized to you. But let's say that your goal needs to be reached in a year and therefore the resolution needs to be performed for a year. Circle the resolutions that you know that if you were in charge of doing nothing else, you could stick with these for a year. Now that you know what those are, draft your New Year's resolutions list. Here is how you should write them so that you will actually crush them and stick with them every single day. This is a 2-part sentence. You have a first blank, and then the word because, and then a second blank. In the first blank, you're going to write the action you resolved to do. So that list of things, you circled 1 or 2 of them. Let's just pick one for now. Pick one of the things you said, I could do this every day for a year, or I could keep up with this for a year. What is that action you resolved to do? Write that in that first section of the sentence. Then after the word because, you're going to write your why or how it relates to the goal. So in the example that we gave earlier, this sentence would look like, I resolve to drink 64 ounces of water every day because it is going to get me that much closer to losing 10 pounds of body fat by the end of the year. That is how you correlate your resolution to your goal. And the reason we do that is you know why your why is so important. It is what tugs at your heart. It is what reminds you in your brain why you're going to stick with this. So don't just say, I'm drinking water every single day, because it can be very easy to forget. Why am I doing that again? Keep this sentence together. Your New Year's resolution is your action you resolve to do because of your why or how it relates to your larger goal. Now, here is your bonus tip. Once you have those resolutions, they're just yours. They just need to be taken action upon now. The hardest part with this is not you actually waking up and starting to drink that water or whatever the case may be in your resolution. The issue usually arises with your social environment. So what I want you to also think about when you look at your resolutions is your preference support statement. I know that sounds like a crazy item to add to this list of goals and resolutions. You now have a preference support statement, but hear me out on this. This is my theory, okay? I want you to boost your self-confidence so that you can immediately claim the identity that you hope these actions will give you. If you want to be a healthy person or a productive person or a morning person, then that is up to you. No one's going to check your resume of morning routines and bestow upon you the grand title of morning person, okay? Practice the preach of who you want to be. If you are a water drinker, honey, get that hat, put it on now, even before your first sip. No problem. If you need it, works for me. And that is what a preference support statement is meant to aid in. So let's say you're being seated at a table for dinner and that server comes over and you know what he's going to say. He's so excited. He's got his pad of paper out. He's got his pen. He's coming over and he's getting ready to ask you, can I start you with anything to drink? You need to have your preference support statement in your mind already, right? Here's what yours is for the water drinking situation. I only drink water. I just drink water. I mostly only drink water. I only drink water. So then when the server comes over, you already know what you're about to say. You're just going to say, I'd love an ice water with lemon, please. Or I'd just like some ice water. Whatever it is, because you already know what your preference support statement is in this case. You're ready for that guy to come and try to take you out of your New Year's resolution mindset, and we ain't having it. Okay? Now, maybe someone's about to ask you to go on a coffee date sometime soon, and you could say yes because that would be a lot easier. Just be nice and say yes, but then you would miss your morning routine. Your automated response is, I don't take morning appointments. I don't take morning appointments, actually. In the context of this situation, you could say, I wish I could, but I actually don't take appointments before 9 a.m. outside of my own personal rituals. Shall we do a 3 p.m. coffee instead? Or better yet, happy hour? You see what I did there? I pulled from the preference support statement and I customized it for the conversation. Now, maybe someone's about to offer you a piece of cake at someone's birthday party. You know, those office birthday parties. Oh, I should go say hi so I can get some calories. You normally would cut yourself a break to celebrate someone else, but you'd like to lose a few pounds too. What is your automated response? I don't eat cake. I'm not a cake person. You don't actually have to be telling the truth when you say that either, by the way, okay? Your preference support statement is you're not a cake person. In the context, you could actually say, oh, it looks great, but no, thank you. I'm not a cake person. I really only let myself splurge for that brownie at that sandwich place down the street. You see how that works? You've already made the decision. You're letting somebody know you've already made the decision. You're not a cake person, so you don't eat cake. I'm not going to eat that slice of cake if I'm not a cake person, or at least that's what I'm saying to myself these days. I am not a cake person these days because it doesn't align. But every once in a while, I let myself splurge. And this is how and when that happens. The reason I like this is I feel like I'm borrowing ideas from people who have specific rules because it is actually life-threatening in their life. The more we consider these resolutions to getting us to a better life, the more we look at the previous life as life-threatening, right? So think of a vegetarian. I don't eat meat. Or a vegan. I don't eat cheese. Or a picky drinker might say, I really only like wine, right? Now, when we speak as if it is not only a life choice, but vital to our own preference and well-being, we think of those weak moments very differently. I don't wake up past 6 a.m. ever. I don't eat cookies. I only drink lemon water first thing in the morning. I only eat packed lunches. I don't go out to eat. You see how powerful those statements are? Say the person you want to be in a healthy mindset, an attainable, healthy mindset, and you'll be much more likely to be able to sustain your resolutions. In addition to having that resolution statement that reminds you of your why. So to recap, first and foremost, focus on the life categories that are the most important to you that changes be made. Then set the SMART goals, only 1 or 2 if you want to make sure that they happen. Research, explore your feelings about those goals and possible resolutions you could make. And then zero in on the ones you know you could keep up for a year. It's going to be challenging, but you could do it. And then write those resolutions as the action you resolve to do because of your why or your goal. And then finally, prepare your preference support statement. What is your automated statement about how you are about this thing? Not the transition you're making, not the resolution you're making, how you are, because this will work and this is who I am because of it. I want you to crush your goals in 2021. I hope that this has helped. I'd love your thoughts. Come over to Instagram. Let me know your resolutions that you came up with on our latest post at Details Podcast. And then make sure that you are held accountable for those goals by checking out the Good Morning Good Life Planner. It is new and improved, 12 months of customizable goodness, including stickers, undated fields, a bookmark, and so much more. It's all at gatlu.store and in the show notes. Thank you to all of you who have left your true and honest review, and especially those 5 stars. Love it so much over on iTunes reviewing the podcast. You have no idea what that does for us. It takes us so far beyond 100 episodes. There is so much more amazing stuff to come, and it is because of people like you who share your thoughts and make us better. That is all for this year. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Remember, subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. I'll see you back here in 2021. Cheers.